Good day, everyone. Welcome to the fifth episode of the marathon series, The Billionaire and the Church Rat of the Michelle and Tony Show. I remain your humble host, Michelle, and I'm here with Tony. So, on the last episode, we basically talked about your environment and how the thing can affect your mindset, how the thing can affect your journey, how the thing can affect your behavior, how the thing can affect your thinking faculty, right? And we told you how to go around getting the right people. If your circle are not people that are moving towards the right path, you tell them, you try to shape them into people that will be heading the same place you are. And remember, you have no control basically over the choice they are going to make. You understand? So your job is to present them with an option, then their own job is to make a choice. They can either choose you or they can choose their own way, right? And so for this episode is what they know that we are not taught. You understand? They are basically things that rich people know. They are basically things that all these billionaires know that most people don't know. You understand? So we're just going to be breaking it down in this episode so that everybody can at least get an idea or two on what billionaires know and church rats don't know. So now let's talk about first of all why we are clueless about money. I remember one thing I was telling Tony one day. Basically, poor and middle class people think that the only thing money can do is just to buy, right? That's how most people see money. And I don't blame anybody that see money like that, because school never basically taught us anything about money. School never told us things that will actually help us in the monetary area of our life. School never taught us about finances. You understand? Even the so-called people that are studying accounting and financial this and all that, they basically don't even know how money works. They don't know how to handle money. They don't know how to make money to become more money. They basically don't know shit about money. You understand? And school, you understand, they won't teach you these things. So that's what this episode is particularly about now. You understand? Episode 1, your mindset; 2, habits; 3, vision; and 4, environment. Now we're going to now tell you understand, what billionaires, how they see money. You understand? So I'm going to be starting with some basic terms like assets, right? So I'm not going to use big flashy language, right? So let me just break it down in the simplest way possible. So assets is what puts money in your pocket, right? Liability is what takes money out. You get? So now, the reason why most people are broke is because when they get money, they buy liabilities instead of buying assets. When you get money, you're supposed to buy assets, not liabilities. You understand? Assets can basically be business. Assets can be knowledge. Assets can be skill. You understand? As far as that thing can be exchanged for money, as far as that thing can put money into your hands, that is an asset, right? But then, like I said, poor people, they don't know how to delay gratification. So when they get money, they buy liabilities, right? And then you see them getting broker and broker and broker. And then they will not be wondering why they are so broke. And then they'll end up going to church houses where they'll pray for them and all that. When basically you don't even know how money works. So when you get money, you're supposed to buy an asset. Example now, you get, let's say a relative dashes you, let's just say 300,000 naira now. You understand? Then the first thing that comes to your mind is, I'll buy a new phone. You understand? Then you buy a new phone, not with the intention of using that phone to make money, but you buy a new phone with the intention of chatting people up and posting on social media and doing all those things that you're doing, right? You're not basically buying an asset now, you're buying a liability, because that phone, you're going to use that phone and be buying data that you're going to just be using and be burning down all the TikTok pages and all the Instagram pages and all that. You understand? But let's say now you have a TikTok page, right, or an Instagram page or a social media account that is basically making for you, let's say, $10K or $20K per month. That page now is an asset. You understand? Now you use that phone for the right thing. Use that phone to generate more money. You understand? So poor people basically buy liabilities thinking that they're assets. You get that vibe? You see yourself. I don't basically blame anyone. You understand? Like I said, nobody taught us this thing. Nobody taught, and all the things that I know, trust me, it's not school that taught it to me. So nobody basically taught us this thing. So if you want to actually be rich, you have to learn how to buy assets. You have to learn how not to buy liabilities. You have to learn how to buy. If you want to now enjoy things, if you want to now start like buying all these good things of life now, it is now returned from your assets, right? It is no longer like the money you have that is basically reducing. Now it's now your assets, and when you now buy that thing with your assets, in 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever, you get the money back. Now that is basically a smart money move. You have to like know how to go about money. You have to be smart about money. You understand? So like, let's hear from Tony what he can tell us about this particular topic. Right?
So yes, first of all, we talked about how the school system isn't made for thinkers, rather it was created for the idea of workers, right? So first of all, I want you to understand that everything you've been taught in school is a lie, right? You go to school with the idea that you should not fail, right? You're not allowed to fail. You're not allowed to cooperate with each other. You are told that if you talk to this person or try to get clarity from someone, you're like a system during an exam. You're going to fail. So school makes you believe that you have to always play it safe. You don't have to take risk, and that's the game workers just end up playing. They just think that we just have to be guaranteed of tomorrow. We have to guarantee our tomorrow. They see things that would take money out of their pockets that is supposed to yield more profits for them as things that are very risky and not safe. So they end up not actually venturing into that because of the system that they've been invited into, that is the school system, right? The school system doesn't yield networking. It doesn't allow students to cooperate with each other. We're made to believe that if you're going to ask someone for clarity in an exam, you are going to be suspended, you're going to fail. So we're scared of failing, right? Well, the idea is that we're scared of failing, and because we're scared of failing, we don't want to ask, we don't want to network. So school does not use cooperation. Do you understand? You ever wondered why after school some of you never end up talking to each other again? Because there's no yielding network, there's no networking going on. You're not incorporating that idea of I need to always work with people, right? That's just how school has made it for us, and that's how school has, and that's the game that workers end up playing. And for the thinkers, that's the billionaire mindset people, those who are rich-minded, those who are positive thinking, those people who are they've been able to beat the system. The billionaires are playing a whole different ball game. They're doing the whole different opposite of everything you are doing, right? So it's like they are now thinking, they are now taking risk, they are now basically doing all those things that the school told you not to do. They are not scared of failing, right? They just increase the rate of their failure, right? These people now are known for investment, known for saving. They don't think that you have to save big. They think that you have to create more, right? Right? They're not scared of losing money, right? Imagine you at the end of the day, you finish school, you know Pythagoras theorem, you know quadratic formula, you know all the formulas to use to solve quadratic equations, all the formulas you need to solve, how to go about algebras, and yes, you cannot budget 30k, 130k, budget 30k without going broke. You can't. You can't use 30k to create more wealth for yourself, right? You can't use the skills and the talents that you have to create more and more wealth for yourself, right? We're meant to believe that what we used to buy. Okay, in school we were taught what? That assets, motor vehicles are part of assets. Right? I remember one day I arguing with Michelle with assets. The idea of assets. Assets is anything that basically would bring money inside, and give you money, as things are, and liabilities are things that take money out of your account. Then I actually looked at it and I'm like, yo, motor vehicles now. I was taught that motor vehicles are assets, right? They're fixed assets. But to be fair, that game, the billionaires don't believe that motor vehicles are assets to them. They're not assets. Because, like we've talked about this in our podcast, we talked about how the poor end up trading their priceless assets for what? Valuable assets. Right? And then they end up trading that valuable assets for depreciating assets. So that you're trading your time, right? Your most precious thing in life, that's his time, for money. Just for you to go and trade that money that you've used for a depreciated, for a car, right? For a phone. Things that will end up taking money from your account bit by bit, things that will just end up losing the value.
Yeah, and you basically just put yourself inside this cycle of losing money.
Yeah,
and losing money.
And you think that you're rich, right? You think that you're rich, you think that you're successful, you think that the world is working for you, that everything is going well for you. But the truth be told is you are losing money, right? We're so clueless about how money is being made. Like people don't end up seeing that what is going on around them, how money can be used, how money can actually be effectively be created, how they can create more wealth for themselves. The ball game that the billionaires are playing is so different because every single thing we're being taught in school, made to understand, is just for us to end up playing it safe. But the big ballers, the billionaires are not. Don't think this life is about playing itself. They're playing this life as how it's meant to be. Because this life is all about taking risk. So why play it safe in life when it's all about taking risk? Do you understand? So basically, this is just the idea of assets versus liabilities. What we think assets are, what we think liabilities are, what the school has told us assets are, and what they told us liabilities are. But guess what? All we've been told is so fucking wrong. We've been told that liabilities are loans that you get from the bank as a liability, right? But guess what? This is how billionaires use that to their advantage. They get loans from banks that will help them finance what their businesses, finance their ideas, create more wealth. They end up not paying taxes. They end up evading tax, yeah. So they end up avoiding tax basically, and legally basically, and they end up paying lesser tax. People don't understand that. They told us that sales is good. That if you sell your billionaires who don't end up selling their assets. Right? Because if you sell the assets, you're being taxed on that capital, on the income that you're going to get. So billionaires don't think about selling their assets. What they do is they create trusts to own that asset, and they use the opposite of what school teaches us. School doesn't make us understand that there's more to life. They want us to be created in the ideology to work for those billionaires. Do you understand? So you're now being lied to about how everything is being run, how the world is. Right? You're being misguided about the idea of what assets and liabilities are. Imagine this, an iPhone on credit, you think it's an asset, you think it's going to work for you. Yes, but guess what? That iPhone is losing money for you. You're losing money for you. It's a liability. Because one day, you're going to spend money on maintenance. So it is going to end up taking away money from you. But you see that 50k, like Mitchell said, that TikTok that's making you 50k every month, right? That is an asset. TikTok just keeps on bringing money for you. You created for yourself. Opportunity that you've created for yourself. An idea that you had in mind that you brought to life is an asset. Right? Now, that's basically poor people, right? Poor people buy liabilities thinking they are assets. That's just a truth. Because of how the school system has made them think what assets are. You see them ending up buying cars, buying houses, buying all this. Did you know that Elon Musk, for some time, I don't know currently he's going, but for some time, he was the richest man in the world, and yet he was still living in a rented apartment. Did you know that he was still living in a rented apartment? The richest man in the world was still living in a rented apartment. What did he do? He borrowed money from the bank, right? Put it into real estate, right? The money that he borrowed from the bank, the value of that money is just every year reduces due to inflation. He's not being taxed on the gains he's getting from the real estate because of the money that he used. The money that he used was borrowed. So right, you can't be borrowed on what certain loans that you have. Right? You can't be taxed on certain loans that you have that you used to finance basically the business. And then now he's making money from his real estate. He's not paying much money in tax, and then he's renting the money out, and he's still living in a rented apartment. What else do? What do poor people do? They get money, the small money they have, they use it to buy house. They use it to buy car, buy phone. The most expensive. And these people just they buy the best, and then the thing about this world is the billionaires just understand how the cycle works because they keep on creating the best of the best of the best of the best, and you buy the best in the now, thinking that would be the best forever. But that can never be the best forever because something that is more valuable will come out, and you would want to spend more because of you see it as an asset. right? You see that an asset. Now, what else do billionaires do? Billionaires hide under trusts, foundations, right? They don't own certain things, right? They don't own certain things. They don't own certain things, right? They basically think that like you have to hide under the idea that, not really hide, but the truth is, the reason why most people at the end of the day get all these lawsuits, they're able to be found, all these things, is that billionaires have various accounts. Poor people don't have various accounts. They have one account and they use that one account to spend more. So you can easily be traced. Anything you do legally or illegally can easily be traced to that one account that person has. For all the billionaires, they create trusts, foundations, big, huge funds, hedge funds that they can hide under it. Basically, creating different accounts, right? And those accounts are what is funding their houses, is funding their. These are certain businesses that is funding their lifestyle for them. They don't have to spend any money from their own personal pockets because they've used wealth to create more wealth for themselves and acquire even wealth for themselves, right? This is the smart thinking billionaires are using. But we're told that no, that is a liability. That no, those things, the liabilities, they take money out of your accounts. Right? That is not good. No, you don't, loans are not good. Debt is not good. Debt used in the best way possible is good. They feed you the bad sides of debt so that you will not see the most important thing about debt. So you just end up in the same loop that they want you to be in and creating more wealth for them. Right? The fucked up school system, fucked up system that we are living in, right? Then we're also made to understand savings, right? And then you save, you always save. Bro, you know that what you're saving is reducing the value every single year because of inflation. Did you know that? The money you save is reducing as a result of inflation. So it eats the money. Basically, the money you, like we talked about how you put it, okay, let's say for example, you're putting 50k. From now, you start saving the same amount of money, 50k. And then it becomes 1 million in 5 years. Did you know that 1 million in 5 years and 1 million now won't be the same because the value would have reduced by then? Because there's something called natural inflation, and inflation just keeps on. It's just natural, because if everything about this life is there's always more value added into the economy, and which will more of the same thing basically, what's it called, reduces the value of things, right? So when there's more and more money in the economic system, right, more money is being basically explored, more money is being made, more money is being pumped into the system, pumped into the economy. You think that the 1 million that was of today will now be the same in value of the one in 5 years. So you're now, I'm rich, yes, 1 million, blah, 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 blah. They sell you the idea of 1 million is big, but they don't sell you the value of what 1 million will be in 5 years. So they make you just live the same whole life. So basically, you having 1 million could be you here today, but then in 5 years' time. So you think, the idea is, you think you have more money, but then you just have more money. So there are things that people need to understand, right? People need to understand, right? The rich don't think about savings. They think about investing. Think about creation of wealth. Like I said, investment is the most key thing that they always look out for. They don't think about savings. They always think about how to reduce their value. They always want to increase the value of things. So investment is the best way possible. They're always ready to take money and take the risk to create more wealth for themselves. That is what billionaires always think about. How the rich multiply money instead of just keeping it, right? So you should understand that these are the terminologies that billionaires work with. These are the ideas and assets that the school system has. These are the things that the school system sold to you. Make you understand that, bro, they were never creating ideas of thinkers, but the ideas of workers. And that's, they sold to you the bad side of the good, and then they sold to you the good side of the bad, right? And then you are forced to play it safe. The billionaires are playing the opposite game. playing the totally opposite game of what you're playing. You know why C students always? What's it called? Do you know that okay, I've heard of A students work for the government,
Yeah.
B students work for the students. Do you know why the students that don't end up doing well in school become the billionaires, and then those who end up doing well in school end up working for them? Not because they were stupid or they were not intelligent or they were not smart. It's because what they were being sold, they were not ready to. What they were being marketed, the things that the school was marketing to them or selling to them, they were not buying it. Because what is bullshit. They understood from the beginning that it's bullshit. That's not what the world is all about. It's not what the world is all about. They understand the game before, and that was why they were not able to buy into the ideology that school was the way out. But you that have bought into the idea that school is the way out, how do you feel after 5 years? You after 5 years or 4 years of whatever course you're studying, you end up with a first class degree or a second class degree, and then you can't acquire a job. You can't do anything with your life. You can't create wealth for yourself. You can't acquire wealth for yourself. You can't think for yourself. You believe they are subjected to a working place. Right? How do you feel? How exactly do you feel? Now, another thing that you guys need to understand is that those billionaires didn't just wake up one morning and start to create wealth. They started from somewhere. Right? Right in school, right? You could just be that you are outside a side hustle. You heard of a new scheme, right? And that you are involving yourself into, right? It's crypto, right? They're selling things, selling courses, right? There's different courses that you should have tried, and yes, you might have failed in those various ventures that you probably ventured in, but it doesn't mean that you should give up, because the school system has basically told you that you should not fail, so you end up not actually doing it in the first place. But the truth is, you should do it and fail. The billionaires are not worried about failing. They're just worried about failing slower. Right? They're not worried about failing. They're worried about failing slower. They always speed up the rate at which they fail, because they know that more and more you fail, the more and more experience you're gaining, and it just you getting more closer to your goal. That's just basically what failure is to them. It's not a stepping stone, but it's not a stumbling block, but a stepping stone. Do you understand? Right? Basically, there are various ways you could do all these things, the various niches you could involve yourself into when you're in school, so as to build your portfolio, build your experience, right? Don't be afraid to start thinking in the right way. Don't be afraid to start investing. Don't be afraid to take risk. These are the games that the billionaires play, and that's why they are there where they are today. And that is why you will definitely end up, if you keep that mindset you've had from school. Right? That's where you will definitely end up. If you keep this mindset that we are selling to you today, you will definitely end up where they are. But if you don't, if you want to just continue doing what you are doing, believing that life that the school is selling to you, you buy into the ideology that you have to go for 4 years to school, work and read, pass exams, and then end up getting a job. If you're living that life, if you believe that's the life that's meant for you, go for it. But don't have regrets after the end, after everything. Don't say, oh, I regret ever, like not listening. Because you will start like wanting to regret, because that's the truth. That's how everybody who ends up in the system ends up falling victim of the system. That's how they end up. Do you understand? And the last one I want to tell you guys is to level up your game. Alright, try leveling up your game. Right? I want you to look into the life of billionaires and look into the system that the school is selling to you. Write down everything they talk about expenses, and write down everything that the billionaires think about expenses. Write down every single thing the school tells you that assets is, and write down every single thing billionaires see assets to be, and what billionaires see assets to be. And then write down every single thing that they see liabilities to be. And then you write down every single thing you see what liabilities billionaires see as. Write them down. I just want you to divide it. the school system, and then what is it called? The billionaire, the billionaire. Write down every single thing on access the school system tells you, and then write down every single thing on access the billionaires live and how what they consider access to be. Just do this, right? Just do this, and then the moment you realize that you've been sold a lie all your life, right? I want you to not give up on yourself. Rather, just use it as a stepping stone to start finding wealth for yourself, to start looking for best ways to market yourself, to start looking for various niches to involve yourself, online businesses that you can create wealth from, right? That's how you should start thinking, right? That's how you should start thinking.
Yeah, so basically, Tony said a lot, right? And there's a lot to grab from this topic actually, because now, if you understand the last 4 topics without basically understanding this topic, you're not actually on the right track. Now, there are basic things now about making money that school never taught you, right? There are billionaire skills that school never taught you. School never taught you how to sell, like how you can actually sell. I'm not in the marketing department, but I know that if I go there, they basically not teach you anything on how to sell, right? School will not teach how to sell. School will not teach you how to manage and grow money. School won't teach you how to just. School basically won't teach you anything about financial literacy, right? That is why most of the people that are teaching in school, they are broke. Maybe they might understand maths or physics or legal method or philosophy or whatever, but they don't understand money, right? And I know that you that is basically listening to this thing, you want to be rich. That is why you're doing all these things you're doing. And I'm not telling you that you're just walking in the wrong step, right? The goal in your head is very clear, but the steps you're taking today, they are just the wrong steps. Now you want to be rich. Now you spend hours listening to someone that is broke. I'm not saying you should skip your class. I'm just basically trying to say that most of what they are teaching in school, 95% of what they teach in school won't help you to build a successful life. Understand? Valuable information is scarce. That is why only few people are successful, because they got access to the right information. Now, you see a school with about 5,000, 10,000 people. You understand? Then I bet you that the information that they are delivering to you at that school is not going to be valuable. You understand? Because scarcity increases demand. If there is no scarcity, it means that the information there is not valuable. You see in a class, you see up to 500 people learning what? Learning basically bullshit that won't help them. But now, when you see a billionaire that is talking, either if you watch the video, either you see it's only one person that is with him, or 2 people, or just a small class. Now that is valuable information, right? You can't find valuable information in a place where everybody is. You understand? Now there's something called cash flow. It has to do with income and expense. Cash flow is just basically how you spend your income, right? Some people now, their expense is greater than their income. School never taught you this thing. You understand? Income is just the money you're receiving. Expense is the money that is going out. Understand? You have to like create a system whereby your income will be greater than your expense. You understand? It can be, number one, basically how you go about it is just basically living below your means. You understand? You basically have to live below your means so that your income is greater than your expense. Now you don't have any skill, any product to exchange for value. That one on its own now is already a problem. It's already a very big problem that you don't have any, even if you don't have money. You understand? Money is not the root of the issue. What I'm basically saying that you basically don't have a skill that you can exchange for money. You basically don't have an information you can exchange for money. Yeah. You basically don't have knowledge. You don't have a product that you can exchange for money. Then it means that you're basically like, I don't want to say worthless, but like you're basically worth nothing. Do you understand? Let's say you have so much valuable information in your head now that you can exchange for money. Now that one is better. You understand? But I so much bet you that you can't exchange any information you are being taught in school for money, because everybody in school has that same information. You understand? So like you're just basically in the wrong place. Have you ever asked yourself why is it that you see a school with over 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people? because they are not giving any valuable information there.
And the amount of billionaires in the world is just like 100.
Yeah, they're just like 100. But when you see people that are actually teaching you how to make money now, when you look at the environment now, you see 10, 20, max 30 people. Then you know that yes, valuable information is actually being delivered inside that room, and I actually need it. School, you see school populated with students, and basically people tend to see that it means that the school is doing well. Yeah, maybe the school is doing well, but at your expense. Yeah. You understand? That is how schools get better. Schools get better by making you worse. So you need to learn to like play a different game. You understand? Mm-hmm. There are billionaires out there. You need to start consuming their content. You need to start consuming their content. If you spend the day consuming content from broke lecturers, you spend the night consuming content from wealthy billionaires. You understand? Because your whole life cannot be rotated around poor people. You go to class, receive poor lecture. Then from poor lecture, you have poor conversations with your poor friends. From poor conversations with your poor friends, you go back just basically the way you are. Then I'm telling you, like you have like all the qualities to become a broke church rat. Like those are basically the qualities of being a broke church rat. But like, I don't know why up to today, I still don't know why money is not a topic that is taught in school. You understand? I don't know why money, like basically they don't teach money in school. You understand? Now it also answered the question. That is why only few people end up being successful. You understand? You need to go and learn about money. Actually, get a book, a 60 leaves. The title of the book is Money. You will start from the definition of money. You basically start from what is money. You basically start from like
study like you're studying the course.
Yes, thank you. Study it like you're basically studying all this philosophy and the rest in school. Like basically you have to, because nobody is going to teach you about finance. And when you start learning about finance, you see that there is actually more to money than buying and selling. People think that the only thing that you can use money to do is to buy. People think that the only thing you can use money to do is to buy. Billionaires are playing a whole other game. Billionaires now, they will use their money to create something that will be creating more money for them. Billionaires, they have learned how to use debt to command more money. For example, now there was this guy that was saying this thing. He was talking about Elon Musk now. He said that Elon Musk's Tesla shares, right? Those are basically his assets now. So now you can't tax a billionaire on an asset that they own. Why? Because on the shares that they own, right? Why? Because anything can happen and then boom, it crashes and they're worth nothing. So if that person is worth 300 billion in shares, you can't tax the person on that 300 billion. Because let's say something happens, like a meteor crash into Tesla and boom, Elon Musk is worth nothing. So you can't basically tax him. Okay. But now, he can go to private equities, firms, big individuals, big companies, and then borrow huge sums of money, right? Now, in order to borrow huge sums of money like $10 million, $15 million, $20 million, there has to be something. So they're not asking, so what are we borrowing it against? You'll not be like, my Tesla shares. So when it's time to task him, he says, basically, I don't have the shares because it can crash and I'm worth nothing. But you can use those shares and borrow money. Now that like, are you seeing how these people play? Are you seeing like how these people manipulate money in ways you never even knew existed? Like I've posted this video like up to 5 times on my status. The video just fascinated me. Billionaires understand money in ways most normal people don't. You understand? You need to educate yourself on money. You need to get financially literate.
How money can work for you.
Yeah, how money can work for you, not you working for money, not you sitting in a particular spot from 9 to 5, basically 8 hours in a day, 40 hours in a week, 160 hours in a month, only for them to now pay you how much?
Like Warren Buffett said, he said, if you don't find a way to make money in your sleep, you
work till you die, basically. Yeah.
It's just like, you guys need to understand that the effect of working for money is a loop that every single average Joe is in.
Yeah.
And that is just the end goal of the great thing, what all my life has turned to be. The American dream that is sold to these people in America. The dream of you having a family and then living in a luxurious apartment with your family. You having a job that you love, right? You think that's a perfect way to live your life. But guess what? You are paying off debts that you're owing. You're working for You're using your time to work for more money, and that money you're using it to pay for school fees. You're using that money, the money that you use you work for with your hard-earned sweat.
Yeah.
Trading your time for basically, like Michelle was saying in his work, trading your time for
money,
for money,
and then trading the money for depreciating assets. And you basically wonder why you're broke. Like, it's not actually complex. You want to get rich, you study money. You can't say that you want to get rich and then you are studying psychology, all these things that will never actually teach you anything about money.
especially in school.
Yeah, especially in school, they will basically not teach you anything about money. So now you getting rich is not in the hands of school. It is basically in your hands.
Yeah.
Go and study about money. Get a book, a 60 leaves, 80 leaves, stick cover, whatever. Start consuming content about money. If you know you can't stay and read, but basically I would advise you to read books on money. But if you know you can't do that one, just be consuming content on Instagram, on YouTube, where people are actually teaching you about money. Now, the worst situation where you can be in is not broke. The worst situation where you can be in is broke and basically nothing to exchange for money.
Yeah.
Whether it is an information, whether it is knowledge. We are living in an information age, right? And now, people who make money in this age are people that know that we are living in an information age. So they basically use it to feed off people who don't know we are living in an information age. So you can actually get information, size it into a PDF and sell that PDF and make money. You can get information, size it into a bunch of videos and sell those videos and make money. And it will work. And even if it doesn't work, you have learned how to sell. Like, there is no actual case where you lose. If you don't get money, you get knowledge. If you don't get knowledge, you are at least you have learned how to attract buyers or whatever. I've been doing affiliate marketing. Basically, I haven't made millions from it, but now I know how to run Facebook ads. I know how to attract customers. I know how to sell. I know how to talk to people based on selling. I know how to pitch myself. I know how to pitch my product. I didn't get money, but I got knowledge, and that knowledge now is something that I can compile and sell. Like, the worst situation you can actually be in is no money, no skill, and no knowledge. No, like, you basically have nothing, right? So
How to make that money.
Yeah, of how to make that money. So you need to get knowledge so that you're able to create value. So that when you enter the market space, people can exchange that value for money.
One thing again that I want you guys to understand is people think wealth is all about having a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. But wealth is all about having a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
And using that knowledge to create more value. And using that value to just and multiplying that value over time. That is what basically wealth is. You might think your father has a lot of money, so you automatically inherit
You have
you have a lot of money. So you don't want to have knowledge on how to multiply the money he has, have knowledge on how to invest in money. You're just basically going through the whole fucking school system and paying everything safe.
And basically you are going to be broke, right? Because now you don't have the mental capacity on how to maintain that money.
Yeah.
Right? There's something that one of my roommates told me. He said that there's a book he read, Psychology of Money, that said that the skill needed to make money and the skill needed to keep money, they are basically very different. That is why you see people, all of a sudden they have money, all of a sudden they don't have money. You understand? So having money isn't something to brag about now. It's now, do you know how to maintain that money? Do you know how to make that money to become more money? You understand? Because you can actually have a skill that will make you money, but then your mind will not be wired in this. Your mind will not be wired in this reduction effect of money. So when you get 100k, 200k, 300k, you just be reducing it by buying, by dashing, by buying. You don't basically know how to keep money. You don't basically know how to maintain money. You don't know how to sustain the lifespan of money. You don't know how to make money so that it become a tool that you can pass down to your next generation.
Yeah,
You get?
just yesterday, like I saw this in a guy called James Wine. This guy is a crypto whale. Basically, he was basically $86 million in profits from crypto.
Yeah.
And then yesterday he lost it. He lost over 26. He basically turned 216. He turned $216 into $86 million in profit. Basically, he was still in profit as at the time. And then yesterday he lost that whole money, and he made, I think it was like $12 as at yesterday. That was the whole, what's it called? That's just the perfect example of what Mitchell just gave.
Yeah.
He said people know how to make money, but they don't know how to maintain the money. People don't understand that there's something called risk management and being able to manage your investments, how you maintain your money, so that that's the information that you need to understand. right?
They are very
Very,
valuable
very information how to maintain money. And one of the ideas is risk management. They're not taught risk management in school. They're just taught how risk is bad and you should not take it because
you
of what
shouldn't take
it stems failure.
And those are people that end up being
Right.
poor.
So you can never be taught risk management in school. But guess what? Risk management is a very, very effective topic, right? That you need to understand if you want to own a business, right? These are the terminologies that the billionaires, only billionaires and rich people understand risk management. This guy made 86 million, he was $86 million in profit. And because of maybe there was a dip in the crypto market, liquidity effect, he was liquidated from the market. He lost money because of what? Maybe his stop loss was not set in the right way. He wasn't managing the risk well. He lost fucking money. He wasn't monitoring his gains, his money. He lost money. He was feeling like, I've made money, but did not understand how to maintain that money. Right? So people need to understand that, like, money is a very, 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 it's very, it is, the way it is very, it's there. Like, you can always make money, right? That's not the idea of this topic. The idea of this topic is for you to create wealth and just have it for a longer period of time. This is generational what we're talking about. Billionaires are not looking at just the now, looking at the constant for the future, right? Being able to create more wealth because they know that the future is not guaranteed. So anything could happen. So they want to make sure that their now is substantial enough for them to be able to fend whatever will come out in the future. That is how billionaires think. You understand? They don't always think about now the now gratification. They know the money is not for them now. The money is for the future, for future needs, right? They just always keep on creating more and more and more because the one that they have is never really enough. There's enough money to go around. So now I want you guys to understand that this topic is not all about just having money, but it's about creating money. That's what this topic is about. And under creating money, you know how to be able to understand what it is to maintain wealth. Right? And for you to be a billionaire, you have to know these terminologies. You have to understand these assets, liabilities, the difference between how the billionaires see assets, how the billionaires see liabilities, how the billionaires, terminologies that the billionaires use whenever they are creating businesses, what they know, the knowledge that they know, things that they know. So that's what this basically this whole podcast is all about. Making you understand the disparity, the difference between the billionaire mindset and what's it called? A treacherous mindset. The difference between the billionaire's habits and a treacherous habit. The difference between the billionaire's environment circle and how he basically effectively works with them. And then how a treacherous basically relates with his own environment and the circle. And the difference between the knowledge the billionaire has and the treacherous has is just something that you guys need to understand. Right, and we are just about the topic. This podcast is just basically bringing to you it's just the idea of what it's all about, right? We're not just using it to talk about to make you feel less of yourself. No, this topic is not for you to make you feel less of yourself.
It's just me to think that there is more.
There is more
to life.
To knowledge. Like, there is more that you need to understand. There's more to just this life that is just all about going to school for 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years, and coming out to the first class degree and then looking for opportunities to come. Right, I was told that first class opens up to a lot of opportunities. Right? But look at how stupid that is. You're open to a lot of opportunities that you yourself cannot really access. You're open to a unlimited number of opportunities that you are limited to accessing, basically. So what is now the point of having those opportunities when you yourself are limited to having basically accessing those opportunities? So like you now have to start understanding that first class is just one thing that will just be there. Skills, knowledge that you've acquired all the years of your life is what will prepare you to the next level. So basically, that's just what I would leave you with. So having in mind, wealth is not all about having a lot of money. It's all about having
a lot of knowledge about how money works.
Yes, that's what wealth is.
Yeah, basically, this episode, we can't teach you all about financial literacy in one episode. You understand? So even if you don't grab anything from this episode, just grab this thing. Get a book titled Money. Start educating yourself about money because nobody will. Your aim is to become rich, but funny enough, you have never learned about how money works. You have never learned how billionaires manipulate money. They basically know how to put money in a trap that will just continue to create more money. Right? So get a book, start educating yourself about money. You understand? Don't just educate yourself on whatever they're teaching in your class, because I can bet you on whatever you want me to bet you on, it will not make you rich. If if university was to teach you about money for 5 years, right, and then assignment was to start a business, whether it grows or fails, I will love school. I swear to God, I will just so much love school. They are basically just a built-in. Basically, they're talking about money, business, finance, sales, marketing, all these things, right? And then your assignment now is to start a business, right? And then the person who gets the highest customers or makes the highest money is the person that is basically what school is meant to be about. But sorry, that's not what school is. School is just a building that you go there and for hours they will cap you bullshit that will never make you rich, right? So you need to start educating yourself on money. Understand? So if you've been with us this far, congratulations, actually, because now you've actually separated yourself from 99% of the people. You understand? Your inner eye has gradually started beginning to open. You understand? So remember, it's a 10-day marathon. This is day 5. Tomorrow another one will come out, right? So whatever you learned, whatever value you grabbed, whatever questions you have, you understand, just let us know in the comment section. Have a nice day. Peace out.